Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Nikki here and I've got a little bit of a monster to show you. Back in August, Louise Heinzel brought out a kit called Ocean Eyes, and it was a vintagey mermaidy style kit for journals. I've always wanted to make an actual ocean beachy journal, so I started making it. I'll pop all of Louise's details down in the info box because the kit is stunning and some of her YouTube videos show what she did to make her journal and they are fabulous, so you definitely need to watch them. Mine is obviously a little bit more contemporary rather than vintage because that's my style, but there are definitely some hints of vintage in here because it sort of goes with the theme of her kit. But I adore the ocean, I love the beach, so this was a labor of love and something that I will treasure forever and will continue to add to over time. It is a monster. It's very big, VV big, but I love every part of it and I am so happy with how it turned out. Let's start. This particular band, belly band, I made for a project last year, but I accidentally made it too long, so it did not suit the journal that I created it for, but it turns out it's the perfect size for this one. So I decided to swing that back into action and add it to this. I made the cover out of a very sturdy cardboard box because I knew this cover would have to work hard. I used a piece of fabric that had flowers printed on it. I don't know if you, oops, a bit of dust there. You can probably just sort of see the markings on them. And I just went to town with paint to create a sort of a bit of a more ocean theme, obviously. And decided to leave the back completely plain. I think this thing is glitzy enough. It really didn't need anything on the back. And on the front, I just used a variety of ribbons, which I sewed down to sort of create wavy style patterns. I've hand sewn on a few little beads, of course, added a mermaid. There's a few buttons, sequins, and then down the bottom, I have real shell, little mini shells and some little glass pieces. All of this I actually found on beaches. I've got a very, very large shell collection. So of course I had to include some of those. And I did this journal a little bit differently to how I normally do. Initially I picked the size of the signatures to go into a book that I had emptied. I had stripped out the middle and I had painted the cover of the book and was heading in that direction. But I started making all the decorations and everything for this before I finalized the cover, and I realized it was going to be way too thick. So I made a new cover with cardboard and a lot of glue, and it's worked perfectly. So what I did, I actually made all the pretty bits and completely finished these before I finalized the size of this cover. And I'm so glad I did because it actually sits quite level at the moment rather than, you know, sitting open like that. So it was a bit of experimentation, but it did work. So in the front cover, I have simply created a large pocket. Actually, what I should do, let me see. Let me grab one of these just for now, just to show you where. I haven't filled every pocket yet. I wanted to do more things over time. I've also got photos and things that I'll put in here, but I'll show you where I have added a pocket. So that is a large pocket there. And honestly, this was just done to cover, you know, where I had glued down the fabric and everything and just to make it look tidy. Now, with this journal, instead of, you know, normally you make a journal and you try to keep it cohesive. I've done this slightly different. I love everything about the beach and the ocean. So instead of just trying to make it all cohesive, I've created 3 completely separate signatures. The first one I call the seashore. The second one is the reef or the shallows. And the last one is the deep. So they sort of have their own theme, but there are things that I have done that all 3 contain. So they do link together, but you'll see there's 3 distinct color tones happening through here. But look, as I said, it was all experimentation. Now, this is from a kit that I bought off Etsy years ago. I had printed it out. I wasn't logged into my account when I purchased it because I've checked my Etsy purchases and it's not there. So unfortunately, I cannot tell you who I bought this off. I just found it in my stash when I started collecting things, and the colouring and everything of it matched so perfectly with Louise's kit, I decided to use them. So on this cover, I've got another real shell and a little die cut that I've made. Created a little belly band with these cute little images that I cut out of a scrap paper pad. Created a rather large tag for this one. What I did with a lot of these sort of tags, I've done lots of tearing, and all the little bits that are left, I've turned into things like this. So I had, this was, it was a freebie I got in a group years ago. Again, been collecting ocean themed things for so long, and at least I've got to use them. And then I've used bits and pieces, scraps, to actually create tags and things like that with it. This is quite a loose belly band, so I have got, I'll put that away later. I've used a clip just to hold that in place. Now, this is just a little tuck spot, and this particular thing lives in there. I made these, I showed on a previous video how I made a lot of these tags with a manila folder, and I just chopped it up. This one has lovely gold embossed shells on it, some little scraps and things. And again, just another little cut apart that I've used there, but I'll hang on to this to show you other pockets. Again, I've got another little flip spot there, tuck spot, I should say. And I just created this cute little mini notepad with a few bits of leftover coffee dyed paper. And again, using up little scraps. And this is a little sticker that I created myself. If you watch Louise's video too, she'll show you exactly how to do that. And I loved doing that. I've used a few of them throughout this journal. Now, this gorgeous Pelican, he is from that kit that I don't know who created. And I've just, wherever I used images, a lot of them I've just torn around the edges, and that's sort of unified all the way through. And that's just a little writing spot. This is again from that same kit. I had this printed on just normal copy paper. So where I wanted to create a pocket, I've backed it onto another piece of paper just to give it, you know, a little bit of strength. And here's another one of the tags I made with a manila folder, and I've just put some shells that I've fussy cut out on that one. Here's another little tuck spot. It's just a little piece of lace that I had coffee dyed and a few little trims on it just for fun. And I forced myself, and I did have to force myself to actually leave some blank pages because I know there are things I want to add to this journal. So there are a few, not very many, but there are a few. This is a coffee dyed envelope. It's sort of, I felt it had that sandy sort of color. So I had this in my stash. I've glued it down from the word sandcastles because there's a little picture of a sandcastle there. And I think this envelope is empty at the moment, ready to pop something on there. And just a little bit of deco up the top there. This is this little tuck spot is from Louise's kit. And I just created a couple of little journal cards to pop in there. I created this with a piece of white net that I coffee dyed and put some ribbon on across the top to give it a little bit of strength so that it would sort of survive as a pocket. And then I just created this little tag. This is from Louise's kit. Beautiful seahorse. And see these gorgeous colours. I just loved it. Now, this is an old envelope. I loved the inside of it because it sort of looked a bit netty, oceany. So I've just stuck a few stickers on. If I want to use the envelope to store anything, you won't see the ones that I've put down there. But look, it looks cute for now. And one day I may well put something in there. This is just a piece of coffee dyed paper. And I've just used some scraps all down the edge there. And added a few stamps in a sort of lovely sandy sort of colour. This is another one of the freebies that I got. Again, I don't know where I got that from, but I loved that, so I popped that in there. Here's another piece of coffee dyed paper that also got some blue on it because I had some blue on the large garbage bag that I used to protect my kitchen bench, and I love the way it sort of picked up on some of the blue, so I made sure I used them in this journal. And I have a real shell that I found on the beach, complete with hole, so I've added that one in there. Piece of music paper. I've got some more of that lace. The one I made the little tuck spot with, that was a leftover after cutting that off. This little pocket is from Louisa's kit. And I just made a couple of little journaling card things to pop in there. Now, this is this is a full page from Louisa's kit. And I used vellum to make a pocket because I loved this so much I didn't want it completely hidden. Gorgeous nautilus shell on that. A little bit of fabric for a pull spot. Again, gorgeous seahorse on it. But have a look at these. Like, it is the most amazing artwork. When I saw this, I knew it was time to make my ocean journal and just use these incredible artwork that she has created there. It's just so unique and so stunning. So I'm really glad that I did. And this is just a little ruffle with a few sequins dotted on just for fun. I loved the colour of these. I thought they matched perfectly with that. This is a little paper bag envelope that I made. I've got a little postcard in there, a little bit of trim down in the corner, more coffee dyed paper that picked up the blue. It's even more blue on that side, but I love it. Again, using scraps down here. One of the pages that I used earlier, at the top was all of this wording, so I had a little scrap left and I put coffee dyed paper and I turned that into a pocket, and that is also from that kit. I've just turned that into a little journaling card. Bit of lace down the side there. Love this. I saw this on Instagram. The sea, once it casts its spell, holds one in its net of wonder forever, from Jacques Cousteau, with a little mermaid. So I printed that out and made a little journaling card with a little mermaid paper clip there. This is, of course, the back of the envelope that I used earlier. Here's a gorgeous little cut apart. I've just turned it into a little secret flip out notebook. Very quick and easy to do. And a little pearl dangle, because look, how can we have an ocean journal without a little pearl? And this was a piece of scrap. I only had like this half a sheet left. So I've used that. And on this side, again, used up scrap pieces by tearing them, layering them to make pockets. Again, another little cut apart. And this is another one of the tags that I made. This is a little leftover scrap from Louisa's kit and one of her gorgeous little starfish. And I had stamped on the seaweed. These two, it looks a bit boring, but I couldn't quite decide what to do. These flip out, you can journal on the back, but I actually took these photos on the beach. So these are two jellyfish, and I couldn't decide what else to do, so I've left it like that. But they're my photos and I wanted them in my journal. So very happy with them, but just I couldn't decide what else to add to that page, so I decided leave it alone. This is the other half of the paper bag tuck spot that I made. I have stamped a ship on there and popped a little postcard in there This is simply a stamp that I had in my stash. This is another one of Louisa's pieces from her kit. I've used other bits of it elsewhere. Again, stunning mermaid. I've just simply glued that down on there. Little tuck spot here with a seagull, because especially in Australia, beach seagulls, they go hand in hand. So I had to include one in here, and I just made a little journaling card again from some scrap. Popped a gold shell on that clip. Left this side empty so I can use that as a tuck spot. Then this is a hint as to what's coming down the track. The ocean is calling. And I've just made a little journaling card again with another scrap that I had in my stash. This is a tuck spot. Again, I had this little half a piece of a scrapbooking sheet. So I just tore out the bit, and thankfully the picture on it was just the right size. So I have popped that there. And then I made a belly band, and I've made one for each of the signatures in the colour tones that match the signature. So this, of course, is sort of sandy colours with some shells and things. And then I made a giant journal card with one of the printouts and just popped some light lined paper on the back just to give it a little bit more strength. And that is the end of the first signature, with a let's go, because we're heading to the next level now. Now, when I first was trying to work out how big to make this journal, I was worried that if I sewed my signatures right next to each other, I was going to end up, you know, with that giant claw open, you know, clam open style look. And I wanted it to be more even. So I decided to try sewing my signatures in and leaving a big gap behind so that it would sit, and it actually worked. I don't know why I thought to do it, I just did, and I'm actually really happy how it worked out because it sits so nice and flat. So now we're heading to the reef or the shallows. I was mucking around and I went, hang on, I want a fishing hook. Could not find a fishing hook here at home because I don't fish. My ex did though, and I thought I may still have some around, but I didn't. So I turned a paper clip into a fishing hook. And then in Louisa's kit, this is one of the little pockets that I just cut up to create like a timber sign. And I stamped on it, no fishing, because we don't want fishies to be caught online. So that's just a little bit of humor, but it sort of matches the theme. Then I've just made a simple pocket here and another one of my tags, and I had these die cuts in the beautiful pale sort of aquary bluey colour, so I popped those on there. This is a piece of fabric scrap that I've used, and then so I used the same fabric to make a tab for that one. This is just a pretty mermaid that I had in my stash. She needed a home in this journal, so I popped her down there. This was made with a book page. It's a tri-fold. I only glued it down around the edges so that I could fit all those in. And then at the same time, I even added another little tiny pocket on here with a piece of coffee dyed paper. And this was a little tag I had in my stash. This is another one of this is from Louisa's kit. It's got a gorgeous octopus on it. I love that. This was, again, from my manila folder dyeing expedition. And then finally, this was another thing that I had in my stash, and I have just added a starfish on the top to help pull it out because it's quite thin. So we've sort of got a bit of a starfish theme happening there. This gorgeous little envelope, pardon me, was in my stash. I received it from one of the Australian sticker shops. She sent out goodies in this, and of course it was just, I never knew what to do with it. It now has a home, but because I loved both sides, I've just popped it in with some washi tape because I don't want it hidden. And just put that cute little turtle on, and I've left it empty, but I can hide something in there at a later date. On pages, some of the pages where there was a lot of dye going on both sides, I've just popped down some coffee dyed paper so that I have a large writing spot, and I did sew a few waves on that one. Now, this was the one little accident that I had. This little guy that's stuck in there is actually meant to live in this belly band, but somehow he ended up in the construction zone. So we have half of it here and we have half of it coming later on. Yes, that was a little accident, but anyway, it's happened. He's there. And I must admit, I'm quite grateful that it managed to accidentally end up this way and not facing the other way, because I like his little face sticking out there. So that's all good. I'll need to make something else for this belly band now, because this was meant to be it. But oh well, these things happen. Look, with all of this construction, if that is the only boo-boo I've had, I think I'm doing just fine. So here's, of course, another belly band I made again in the blue, lighter blue tones to match this particular journal, and a few sparkly bits have been sewn on that one. This is, yes, this is a little tuck spot too. Again, using up little scraps. Oh, look, an actual plain sheet of paper. Then I have a map page, and this one I put this in to sort of cover the landmass. I wanted more of the water on display because obviously that's what this journal's about. And so I created a tag. This is just awesome collage pieces from my stash, and another one that I cut out from my manila folder. I just popped that anchor on because I thought it sort of suited the theme. Little fabric scrap. Then this is from Louisa's kit, and here's a gorgeous journaling card with another octopus. So I've again popped it up in this corner to sort of cover as much of the land as possible because I want the water on display. This was just a piece of copy paper that I went to town with some watercolors. Love how that turned out. And I did a little bit of stamping on that side. This is from the kit that I don't know who it's from. Just love the images on this too. A little bit of stamping just for fun down there. This was in a travel brochure. It's a picture of the reef. I literally just cut out what I could so that we didn't see any of the advertising. Made a little journaling card again with one of Louisa's gorgeous starfishes. And then just a few little dangly beads off there for fun. Because this is quite thin, I find this doesn't like to sit in its place. It keeps wanting to fall out. So a little bit of paper clip there just to help it out. Then I did some watercolouring on some heavy cardstock and put these beautiful turtles on there. And then on this side, it had a couple of paint blobs on it that obviously got there when I was doing all this watercolouring, and I didn't really like that. So I've covered that with coffee dyed paper. I put some pearlescent blue paint around the edge just for fun, and then using Louisa's leftover bits, I actually cut out these die cuts and also die cut out the seahorses just to put around the edge. There's the giant picture of the Nautilus. Absolutely adore that. So that's just been given pride of place on there. This is a little pocket that obviously is on both sides. And then I made this little secret little notepad with quite a few sheets in it. So if you want to write down things, or I want to write down things that I don't want people to see, I can pop them in there. And then I just used a brad to attach that. This was watercolor on a piece of vellum. Just loved the colors. I didn't make it for this journal. It was in my stash and I decided to use it. I've got a cute little magazine cut out there that I've had in my stash. So I've just made two very simple journal cards to go in there because I think that one is heavy duty enough. The other side, this is a pocket. I just created a little envelope with a ocean reef theme. I had a gorgeous, this stamp was in my stash, so that was perfect. Oh, a little bit of a ruffle. This is coffee dyed fabric that again sat on top of some blue paint, but honestly it works perfect in this journal. The other side of my cutout, and I've put two gorgeous seahorses on that side. Look, almost plain piece of paper. I stuck this down onto this to give it a little bit more strength. Just done a little bit of stamping on there. Then I create, this is another one where I've, again, just used up a scrap on top of one of my manila folder tags. Didn't want to waste anything. I just love the imagery too much. Cute little turtle on a clip there. And then this is just a little weird and wonderful piece that I had painted, which I loved, so I've popped that in there as well. I've got a few more turtles, and I've just popped a little bit of collage down on that corner. And this was in my planner stash. I'm not sure where I got it from, but I thought it matched perfectly, because you can see I've gone for the mid aquas and blues in this journal. Another gorgeous mermaid. I didn't want anything else on that page. And this is a large pocket. Now this was part of Louisa's kit, so I have stuck it down again, backed it with a little bit of book page just to give a little bit of strength. And there's another collaged tag that I have made. And again, loved the imagery on this piece of cardstock, so didn't think it needed anything else. And then we get to the final one. This is the one that I call the Deep. This is definitely from Louisa's kit. You can see the style of it. They are stunning. And I have popped a few sequins down because those colors I thought just matched perfectly. So this, we've got a little bit of a deep sea theme happening here. And I didn't realize until way down the track that I already had this Jacques Cousteau cut apart in here. But I'm happy to have it twice because it is so true. And then I just had this piece of cardstock, which I folded the corner over just as something a little bit different. And I've used another part of Louisa's kit to make this journal card. Again, I'm using up everything. Now this little one, Cara Brandon Creations, has a Facebook group, and she often, every Friday, she has a Friday freebie, she calls it. So a few weeks ago, it was a nautical theme, and I've created this cute little tag. It's got 2 pockets, plus a tiny little mini pocket on the front. And all of these pieces were in the kit. The only thing I've added that was my own is this little sticker that I made. But otherwise, the entire thing was in the kit. So I loved that. And then I had this in my stash with the anchor on it. Definitely thought that was sort of a great match. I've got a little compass down here. This was a leftover piece from the same pack of papers that I used, that I used at the back here. And so I just created a giant pocket out of it. I did put another one of those seahorses on there because I love that. And then I have this very cute octopus image that I've just turned into a bit of a journaling card. This dark blue piece of gorgeousness was part of the ephemera pack in Louisa's kit. I've added some blue lace. Same lace I used before, I just used some watercolors to turn it blue. Added a ruffle and stuck on some of those cute little shells that I found in my stash. This has just been glued down because I love that image. I didn't try to make it into a pocket. I've left that one the way it is. This is just, this was paper in my stash. I live in Australia. I live right here in Brisbane. And I found this little piece and I went, okay, this is cool. This is my home country, surrounded by ocean, and I want a map of Australia in my ocean journal. Another one of my tags, I just used a little bit of texture paste on that one, through a stencil. And this was just mucking around with watercolor. because I wanted something dark blue and watery. So same thing here, I've stuck a piece of paper down so that I can actually journal on that if I want to. This is a leftover scrap from something, but I thought it matched the theme. Then this is a piece of scrapbook paper. I just loved the deep blues and the fish, and create a little, there's a little tuck spot there from a cut apart. And then here's the dark blue version of a belly band, obviously to match this theme. And I had this cut out from a magazine, so I've just turned that into a bit of a giant journaling card too, because I loved that. Nothing like a bit of piracy going on here. A little pocket from Louisa's kit, and this is coffee dyed manila folder, and I had this cute little postcard cut out part, so I've just popped that on there. Again, this is just a book page where I played with some paint, covered up the book part, so I have another journaling spot. A bit of a piratey looking ship going on there. Just cut out these from a botanical book that I've got and pop them down there as sort of a bit of a collage. Created a pocket here and went with the fish theme. I've got a fish on there, and there's another fishy on that piece, and another fishy because he literally just fitted in, which was perfect. And then this gorgeous cards in behind. Almost a bit of a waste. I'm thinking I might have to find another spot for that because there's not enough contrast going on here. Oh, actually, now see, that might look better. No, not sure. I'm going to think about that one. But again, I was playing with some paint, loved the colours and how that turned out, so I had to use that in my journal. Another watercolour piece, and again, I fussy cut out some images from a botanical book that I have. I thought they were perfect in there. This was the little scrap that I decided to tip in here, and then I've attached this envelope to it. This one has a sailing theme. Again, that one's empty. I can pop something in there later. Gorgeous whale die cut, the one and only one I had in my stash. Loved that. So again, I did some watercolouring on the cardstock there. And this is a cute little whale. He goes through on both sides. Coffee dyed paper. This is a piece of alcohol ink paper that I had made a while ago. Decided to use that in my stash and just added a few journaling cards. Again, this is a scrap. Pop down on coffee dyed thing. Don't throw out these gorgeous bits. Just use them like that. It's amazing how many extra tags and things you can make if you use up some of the scraps. This was just a leftover piece of watercolour from something, and I had this little half fish, so went and made sure I put that to good use. And then again, for contrast, this is a little scrap that I just tore out and popped down. This center spread here is another one from Louisa's kit. As you can see, it's all very dark and blue and magical, and I love it. And I've made this tiny little pocket down in the corner here with 2 mini tags that were in her kit. And I've got a little, whoops-a-daisy, he's got his nose caught. That's no good. Got a little seahorse there. Another, that's more coffee dyed paper. That's the other side of that little half bit. And I've used one of Louisa's things and created a journaling card with that and just put a couple of little scraps on the side. Stamped on some cute little crabs. More die cards. More. Couldn't decide what to put on this, so I left both of those empty. I'm sure I'll find something down the track. This gorgeous piece is from Louisa's kit. Now, just so you know, that is actually an image of her father as a very young boy, and she's created all this magical stuff around that image. Just love it. I have a little stingray image, little tuck spot. Again, used one of the journaling cards there. Mermaid, I've had this in my stash for I don't know how long. Obviously had to bring her out too. Used Now this one is just, that is again covering up the book page so that I can use that page. Again, using up scraps. One of Louisa's little tuck spots, and this is just a coffee dyed index card, and I've put a very faint stamp on it with a compass that sort of matched colour-wise, so I was very happy with that. Another tab, I've just used a leftover piece of cardstock and created a journaling card with another piece of scrap because it had these cute dolphin images on it. I've got another little tuck spot there. This is a piece of tracing paper that I watercoloured, and I've turned it into a little envelope / pocket. And I stamped an old steering wheel image on that one. Again, little scrap there. Little tuck spot here. Just put some of that ribbon on that I used in the first one just to give that paper some strength. And on this side, again, just all sorts of scraps on that one. So that actually, yes, that is a tuck spot too. Just using up all my little scraps. I've got little fabric scraps there and paper ones. This is some watercoloured lace with a couple of die cuts on it. Just a fun little cluster. This was an image from a magazine, so again, popped it onto another piece of paper to give it some strength, and then just created this little tag there. And the very last thing is my fussy cut octopus, which I love. And that's the back page. Again, this is a pocket, so I can add things to it. This is just a piece of cardstock to tidy things up. And that's it. I know it's a giant, but I absolutely adore it. And look, it's taken me just shy of 2 months to make this because I've had so little free time. But I'm so glad it's done. I think I will treasure this forever, and I will just keep adding things to it. If you have any questions or would like to know how I actually made any of these things, pop it down in the comments box. I'm happy to help out. And if need be, do a little video or something so you can see if you want some help with anything. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. And if you are not already a subscriber to my channel, I would love it if you hit the subscribe button for paper planning and paper crafting videos, and goodness knows what else. Other messy things along the way, because I like making a mess. Until next time, everyone, take care. Bye for now.